Um, Thank you for the invitation. My name is Mario Shimokawa. I'm from Peru, and my presentation is about sustainable agricultural systems and its impact in commons in Peru. So, first we are going to check some facts about agriculture. In 2012, Peru registered more than 7 million hectares of cultivated land. And 55% of the farm owners have in between 3 to 5 acres. So, and the rest have less than 3 in just 10% or have more than 100 hectares. So we can see that most of the farmers in Peru have they own very small farms. 65% of the people that work in agriculture live in poverty. So we can see that it's an important work for Peru, but they are not receiving enough money for the work. So what about organic agriculture and sustainable systems? We can see that most of the farms dedicated to grow products are for export. So we're talking about avocados, blueberries, asparagus, peppers, bananas, for example. They go to Europe and the US and Asia. So they are some kind of under a sustainable system. 8.2% of the land is used for organic agriculture. And here we have some products that go outside and some for local markets, but mostly they are for export. Organic agriculture and agriculture for export, both systems are based in good agricultural practices. Most of them uses Global Gap, Rainforest Alliance, UTS certification, and both systems aim to care the natural resources. So we are going to consider both as sustainable agricultural systems. What about the water here in Peru? The government grants the water first for drinking and for the population, fresh water for the cities, and then for production. Agriculture, animal breeding, aquaculture, energy, industry, health, mining, recreational, touristic, and transport. In that order. So if a city needs water for tap water, for example, they have the first option to take the water, okay? But if we see how it's used in Peru, we can see that 76% of the water goes to agriculture, 14% for animals, and just 5% for populations and 5% for industry and mining. So even the population have the first option to use the water. Almost 90% of the water goes to agriculture and animals. Then how it's used in agriculture, how we irrigate the fields. We can see that 88% of the farmers use furrow irrigation, 7% drip irrigation, 4.8% uses sprinklers, and just 0.2% others ways of irrigation systems. So here we can see that most of the farmers uses the water under inefficient systems like furrow irrigation. So what's the difference in between the small farmers and their sustainable agricultural systems? How they are trying to reduce the water consumption? no? Because we saw that the water is for everybody here in Peru. They are trying to use drip irrigation, no? Because it's cheaper than the other systems, and it's easier to use it. But it's not because for reducing the water consumption. It's because economic and technical issues. No, it's easier to use it. Most of the farmers are getting older and they cannot work in the lands, so it's easier for them to open a tap and water the plants. No? In some valleys, the government is promoting the usage of the underground water. No, because we have most of the water underground than in the surface. Okay, it's real in some places here in Peru because of the irrigation projects. No, they are taking the surface water from big rivers in the coast, and they are conducting the water to the desert, and for the irrigation of the new farms. They are installing weather stations for a better calculation of the water, and good practices in water uses are requested by the markets in Europe and the US, no, as part of the certifications. Other actions: in 2013, the Sanitation Services Modernization Law, driven by the Ministry of Housing, Construction and Sanitation, established an environmental compensation mechanism linked to the watershed management and planning. Now, this is something that now in the 2014 was applied to some cities in Peru, like Moquegua, Lima, Cusco, and Lambayeque, and Ancash. Users from cities are paying part of the bill of the water for ecosystem services compensation. No? How small farmers are using sustainable agricultural system for improving the soil conditions. Because the prices for the organic products and the products for export, farmers are returning to the fields. You know, after years of losing money and moving to the cities, they are returning to the farms. Also, the people who live in cities are moving to the fields for doing farming. Now, this is a very interesting case of study because people are moving to the fields, you know, for doing new forms or new types for agriculture. Good practices in soil management is required by export markets, and the agriculture is increasing the land value. For example, here in the Moche Valley, they realized that 41% in 25 of the farms were sold for making bricks. No? So they lost 1 to 1.5 meters of the surface of the land because they sold it for making bricks. No? Another thing to consider is that soil depletion is prevented with a good agricultural practice. Anyway, we are exporting the minerals inside the soil, inside the fruit to other places, and we are importing new minerals from other places, no? Under the form of fertilizers. You will see the Peru Sea from 2002 to 2019. We can see how the land use was turned from farms to urban. No? Now they have more houses, no? and less land for agriculture. Pesticides, food chain, and public health. Conventional farmers are using pesticides without any kind of control, just because it's cheaper to use a pesticide or because they don't have enough knowledge about the risk they are exposed and the risk to the consumers. The Constitutional Court of Peru this year said that farmers are not enough trained in pesticide usage. This means a high risk of health issues and contamination of food. Also pushes the government to grant enough varied and good quality foods for citizens. Now, this is because the government of Peru launched a law, an agriculture law, and there were some people that claimed that to the Constitutional Court. No? So they recommend to improve the law, considering training for farmers. Also, in the organic farmers and those who practice the sustainable agriculture are using only organic products or controlling the amount of conventional pesticides in order to grant zero or accepted pesticide residues in the local market. In the 2012, the Ministry of Agriculture released a law for improving the organic production here in Peru. The problem is that we have too many bureaucracy in a lot of payments for doing agriculture, organic agriculture. So it's a very complicated issue here to do that, and we are trying to change. Also, the government has detected a great amount of pesticide residues in fruits and vegetables in the local markets. Now here, the Ministry of Agriculture is doing every year, they are checking pesticide and heavy metals and products used for animal health in the food, no? In the market, the local markets. So the results are not good. We realize that we have a lot of residues in food. So this is something that we must check. Also, sustainable agriculture systems are pushing consumers to prepare food at home and reduce the consumption of processed food. Because of the way of living, processed food is more consumed than homemade food. And how does it impact to the farmers? Here we can see, for example, with passion fruit, if the farmer sells the fruit for fresh, and how much they receive for if it goes to juice. No? If it goes for juice, they receive 30% less per kilo. No? In avocado, it means 66% less per kilo of avocado if it goes for guacamole. And in the case of tomatoes, the farmers receive 80% less per kilo if it goes for sauce. No? So if the market goes to processed food, the farmers are going to receive less money for the products. No? So what is going to happen? They are going to use the cheaper products, the cheaper pesticides that are the worst. So this is not good for anybody. So we can see that agricultural or sustainable agricultural systems are reducing the negative impacts over the water, the land, the food chain, and the public health, but this is not enough. So we must work with consumers and trying to be interested in how our food is produced and how it came to our houses, because there are a lot of practices that are not good, and we are pushing because of our way of living. Also, consumers consider that cheap food, maybe it's not the best for our health. We must consider fair prices. Now, if we consider fair prices for telephones, for cars, for housing, why we don't consider that for our food, right? So agriculture uses a great amount of resources and for feeding people around the world, affecting our health. And we as consumers, we must interested and encourage farmers to implement good agricultural practices and recognize for the products. Thank you.